guys and girls, and welcome to episode 65 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy this show, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a nice review on iTunes, because that will really help us out. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Welcome to all of those that are joining us live. Hello to you all. And for those that are new to the show, let me introduce you to the team. First up, this guy belongs in the circus for his virtual reality contortionist skills is, of course, our little blonde friend, Nathie. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing fine, yeah. I'm very flexible, you know. I do backflips all day in VR.
Well, it's good to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you. I just made it, by the way. But it's good to be here with you all. And you like my Christmas, you know?
Very
Splendid
festive.
as always.
Splendid.
For the audio listeners, he's got a little sister from BioShock sporting a Santa's hat in the background.
With like my first Christmas on there. It's kind of, you know?
Kind of cute. Yeah. So next up, maybe not so cute, he likes to drive fast and furious and has a pet xenomorph. It's Zimtok5. How you doing, man?
Mike, I'm good. I was guessing. I was like, isn't it so cute? I was like, feck it, who's getting that one? Jesus, what a blow at the start of the week. I mean, feck's sake. Anyway.
Well, you do look cute, actually. You're wearing a nice little Christmas jumper. Skyrim Christmas jumper, that is.
Yeah, I've got
well.
Skyrim all over me right now, but
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
you know, it's actually, honestly, I have in my head, because it came out in November late last year, like Skyrim and Christmas. Do you ever fuse two things together? Like, for me, Skyrim and Christmas are just fused together, so it doesn't matter if it's June and I go in, it's like, I feel like that. But I'll tell you what, other thing reminds me of Christmas. My recent purchase, which is Zim's top tip for winter, and that's thermal underwear is the best thing ever. If you think like only old people can wear that shit, it is amazing. So anyway, that is my tip. Definitely spend a tenner on some thermal underwear before Christmas comes around.
It's like we're starting like a new section, like Zim's top tips, thermal underwear.
Definitely.
See you
Yeah.
next week. It's Zim's top tips.
Next week it's gonna be water bottles.
That's our first sponsor of the show.
Yeah, to keep you cozy in those cold
Imagine,
nights.
like thermal VR covers.
Well, we tried some, ones that go hot and cold, right? So it is possible,
Yeah.
I guess. But anyway, let's introduce the next one of the team, and that is, he's not only the fastest YouTuber alive, he's also the slowest painter and decorator alive. It's the rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing more than only painting. You know, I've been doing a lot of painting, as you can probably see in my beautiful hands over here.
That's
But
not paint.
yeah, it's been. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's other white stuff. We know. Yeah, that's pretty much my life at the moment. Yeah, it's a lot of painting, decorating, hanging up lamps, and doing that, all that fun stuff. I like doing that work. Like I was telling this Zim earlier as well. Like, you know, it's a kind of work where you like see like a lot of results. You know, like it. I mean, it's not that intensive to do it, but it's like work that you see so much result if you compare it to like how it was to like how it ends up. So yeah, I always like doing a little bit of DIY.
It's like
Not too much.
you're like the real life house flipper.
Yeah,
That game.
kind of. But not that much. Like because I only like touch up. That's all I do.
Good.
No heavy construction work for me.
Okay. Well,
Only
I'm
in
glad. Only in VR. Well, last but my name is Leaf, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the HTC Vive Pro McLaren edition. Is this new expensive headset bundle in pole position, or should it stay in the pits? Stay tuned to find out. We're also going to be talking about Minecraft. We've got it on PC, we've got it on console, we've got it on mobile, we've got it on Rift, we've got it on toasters. But why isn't it on the Oculus Go? Well, we talk about how you can change that if Minecraft is your bag. And then finally, we're going to be talking about a possible new Alien VR game, because in VR, everyone can hear you scream. And that's exactly what you'll be doing if this new Alien game comes to VR. and we're going to be discussing what we want from a new Alien game in virtual reality. But first, let's find out what everyone's been up to and their highlight of the week. And let's kick it over to Zim first to find out what you've been up to, dude.
All right, sure. So actually, you introduced with the perfect segue, because the first thing I tested after last week's show wrapped was I went and finally got back into Alien Isolation and tried the new Mother update for the touch controls, because I said I would, and unlike some people, I follow through on my word. The week I say I'm going to do it. Mike,
you're more committed than me.
I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling your legs. But the unfortunate thing I'd say was there isn't any. You don't have arms in the game. You don't have the ability to kind of reach out with your finger and touch something. What it essentially is touch controller support as a broken gamepad separated. Now, does that actually add anything? And I would say it actually does, because instead of if you're standing while you're playing Alien Isolation, and you got your hands around a controller like this, or mouse and keyboard, you're kind of in, you're touching something and your brain's aware of it. You feel a little bit more isolated if you're standing in your room with your arms out. And I have to say, I had a few moments where I almost jettisoned the controllers out of shock, and so it does give, I'll say, 10% of a boost. It wasn't the exciting release that we were hoping for, but it does help. And probably the only thing that I just will mention, now I'm not a huge Beat Saber player, but I did check out the updates to Beat Saber, and I have to say the addition of the Expert Plus songs, which reminded me very much of Thumper's Plus stages. Holy shit, those are hard. I have not gotten past 20 seconds in a single track. I've tried them all, and this is after I sat down and I just aced 6 songs in a row on Expert, and I'm like, that's fine. And then I moved to Expert Plus, and it just murders you. So anyway, if you're looking for a little bit of extra game, it's definitely there for you.
Because I remember trying easy, and easy was what is this like? And then a step to normal was a little bit more, and then a step to hard was okay, that's a bit more again. And then Expert was completely insane back then when I tried it. But,
yeah, I can. The jump from hard to expert is almost like the jump from hard to expert on Guitar Hero. I don't know if any of you guys were into Guitar Hero, but I could play pretty decently on hard, but then jumping to expert was just mind blown. And it's the same with Beat Saber, but Expert Plus, like you say, is really for the hardcore of hardcorest players, I think.
But the thing I really liked
online as well, thinking how do you even do this? Getting those super scores, no fails, super combos. Dude, I don't even see the blocks anymore. They're just lines and streaks,
Yeah. It just ends up being muscle memory. And the other thing that they added, they didn't add the campaign mode, and I know that stuff's still coming to PC, but getting all the additions and stuff is pretty cool. I won't go into the details of what was added, because I know we're talking about it later. But I have to say, the style, the game design side of the levels, if you for instance, Angel Voices is one of the tracks, and the kinds of motions that you're doing, it's not like they took the same track and logic and just kind of copy pasted, then added some additional blocks and made it faster. They actually redevelop, but with the same kind of flow and motions. So you recognize this is the track, and they did a great style shift and upgrade to make it still feel like that's the awesome track that I'm playing. If I'm playing $100 Bills, it feels like I'm playing $100 Bills, but it's almost like a remix. And so I really appreciate what they did design-wise for that. They did it justice.
So I just want to bring up a controversial point about Beat Saber, and that is the new sabers, because they've changed the sabers, and I wonder why, and I wonder
legal.
If there's some legal implications because they're lightsabers, and Disney maybe owns that as a brand thing, and it's you can't have lightsabers in your game. You can have light swords, but not lightsabers. So I don't know. It's very weird that they changed the design completely, because when I played it on PSVR, I was like, oh, these sabers look a bit different. And then I played the update on PC 2 days ago, and I was like, they've updated them as well to the same ones that are on the PSVR version.
You know how you know it's legal? Because they said nothing about the change, other than they changed them. And so that's how you know that underlying, there's someone pushing them to do it, and they really didn't want to do it, but they have to. Yeah. And that also explains, so they pushed it in PSVR, and now they're like, oh, we're just gonna do that same update on PC for consistency.
Yeah. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments if you've got any ideas around this, or you think we're right, or you think we're wrong. Either way, we'd love to know. But let's kick it over to Nathy then and find out what you've been playing this week then, mate.
Well, I wanna actually highlight something we played last week. We together. We played a game called Fitted. It's a hole in the wall simulation, basically. I'm not sure if you remember this game show, but there was like a game show where there were walls coming towards you with shapes in them, and you had to take the same pose, and if you made it successfully, you would go to the next one, and if you didn't, you fell through the floor or something into the water, as far as I
water,
know, like a swimming pool. So there is a VR version of that, and the cool thing about this title is that you can use Vive trackers to also track your feet, so you can actually jump through shapes as well. So, so I had this like on my list to play together with Mike. I was like, this is a great party game, so I can see him struggle through these shapes and the other way around. So that's what we did, and I uploaded the video yesterday on the channel, and it's so funny. It's so funny. This game, like I can tell you guys, this was one of the most broken games I've ever played, and it's also one of the funniest ones, because you're tryharding so much that in the end, sometimes your trackers are like going all over the place because they're strapped to your feet, but after a while they start moving, or you're laying on the floor and the trackers are never like nowhere to be seen. Like there were cases where Mike tried to jump through a shape, but the trackers were like hidden, so he went through the floor, and then he made it, and he actually got some points. I was like, the heck's going on? So I mean, yeah, I don't know. This game is so freaking broken and so freaking funny at the same time. And the cool thing is you can also play without trackers. Then you just have a floating body, so you only need to, well, pretty much use your hands and your head to go through stuff. But yes, it's weird that at the end of the year, I'm still playing something that is kind of bad, but cool. And I'm like, this could actually be in my, let's say, top 15 of VR stuff. I'm not joking. Like I had so much fun. And usually when I play a game and I finish it and I'm like, this was cool, but this was like satisfying in a way where it's like, wow, this is why I would play this in VR and not something else.
We laughed so much filming that gameplay together, but the thing was, like, what we explained in the video, what you didn't see was the 2 hours prior to that of actually setting it up, because I don't know if you guys have ever played with Vive trackers before, but it was the first time for me getting my hands on them and pairing them and getting them set up and calibrated, and then like Nathan said, the game was kind of broken and bugged. So it took us about 2 hours to get it set up, but in the end it was worth all the hassle. But it's just one of those games that you can't really recommend to anyone because it's such a pain. But it was one of the funniest.
How many games are there now you need actually the trackers for?
I think the only other one that I know that supports them is that Island 359 game where you can actually kick a dinosaur in the face.
and VR chat as well. I mean, there are VR online and also Altspace. So all those online experiences do support it. But there was one moment where, like that was the main issue we had, where the Vive trackers were or turning themselves off, or they were switching between your actual like Vive controllers. So there was one moment where I was holding my own feet in my hand, and my virtual hand was my like, so it switched basically.
Yeah.
And then I had to calibrate, so I had to put my feet up in the air real high to point towards that menu in the sky, but I just couldn't reach it.
Are the trackers actually, I got two questions about the trackers because I've never touched them. They look relatively large, but are they still developer only, or are they off-the-shelf consumer things now?
No, I don't think so. They're like mainly for developers.
Okay. And the second one, just logistically, like is there a like a belt loop on the back of them? How do you attach them to things?
It's got like a camera mount, like a camera a tripod.
The 3/4 screw. Yeah.
I think you get that with the pucks if you buy them.
Yeah.
And they use two Bluetooth USBs as well.
I'm pretty sure you can buy them. I don't think you
can. Yeah, they are on the store.
Yeah, you don't have to be a developer, but I think they mainly are for developers, really, because there's so few games that actually utilize them.
I even have some official props that you can use. I have like a tennis racket.
Yep.
I also have this
and the gun.
The gun. And there's another thing. So there are some things out there that you can use with it. Also those, haptic guns that you can buy. They sometimes also use that in combination with trackers. You see a lot of companies using them for, tracking their haptic gloves. So you see them a lot on the show floor as well. So developers are using it a lot to get.
It would be
things
nice
tracked.
to see like Vive make them like 3D printable or something that you could just like attach like a controller or like something to it. Because I mean the tennis racket is still, I think, the one that I find the most fun, because it's the most out of the blue one. You don't expect to like have a tennis racket. Also, I would not recommend to like be playing with a tennis racket in your freaking room, like smashing everything around you. But it's because it's isn't it for the Racket NX game? I think
so.
I think it's Racket NX.
That is such a good game. If you
cool.
like racket sports, I think it is the best VR game. I mean, it's just they really got it. The performance and racket hits. Oh my god!
Try that with the racket. That's really. You did.
I have strapped early in 2015. I strapped a full size racket, because I'm a tennis player, to a Vive controller in my room, and well, I actually, what happened was I'm swinging this thing around, right? And then Chad or whatever said, oh, that's a bit dangerous. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to bust a monitor. I should take this off. Then I got overconfident, and I'm doing serves in selfie tennis, right? Got a little video of this. And I blow apart my exposed light ahead of me, which I then later find is made of the stuff that is carcinogenic. And there were literally pieces all over my room. Like, you see that foam behind me? There were pieces of glass in there on the top. Like, I had to live vacuum the place and then air it out the day after, because otherwise that stuff can actually give you like lead poisoning. So don't do that. Not a good idea.
No.
I didn't know you were a tennis player.
Yeah.
So am I.
So,
But we were fine in the
tennis
end,
pros.
right?
We need like a tennis face-off.
Who else is a tennis player here?
No.
You guys don't?
Although we played on the Quest, that tennis game, OC5.
Yeah, that's
That
was like an
pretty well
arcade.
done, That was pretty well done. Like, I liked it. I mean,
So it will be Jason Rubin that decides who's the tennis pro out of all of us.
I like the tennis part of that game. I did not like the feckin' fruit and golf balls or whatever that just all of a sudden appeared. Like, they had a solid tennis game on the Quest, and then they had this mastermind Jason Rubin that comes out.
I think you can turn it off. Like, it must be.
It's
You must be
hope
able to
so.
select modes or something.
For the people that don't know, this is like an arcadey version of the Wii tennis game, but then with different types of balls and stuff like that.
Modifiers.
It's funny that when I interviewed, I did an interview with Mike together about Oculus Connect, I was so confused that the first thing I said, how did you like the soccer game? Oh no, wait, it's a tennis one, right? Or a rugby? I don't know.
That's the problem. It's got soccer balls in it, rugby balls, all sorts of other bits and pieces in it. So it's very strange.
Power up stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's find out what Rowdy's been up to other than house flipping and painting.
Yeah, I've been mainly house flipping, but I've played one more game, and that was Creed. I've played some more Creed, doing some more boxing. I finally got to the part where there was you need to find a bodyguard.
Oh yeah.
Out of the blue, all of a sudden you're fighting like some kind of dude who's just standing outside the gym, and he's been the toughest that I've faced so far, because all the professional boxers were no problem, you knock them out, no problem, and then you get you run into some dude outside. And the first thing I did was I went for the balls, because there was no referee there, so I went for the balls, took him out, but he knocked me out while I was hitting the ball. So I mean, not very realistic, that game. And then all of a sudden I did knock him out, and then all of a sudden I heard a referee calling 5, 6, 7. I was like, where is this dude? That was a bit of a weird moment. So yeah, that's the game that I actually only played this week.
But did you experience that? That's what I had with Creed. So I was fighting the first few, they were super easy. Then the last 2, 3 are pretty challenging. But this guy outside of this club, this guard, you go fight against professionals, and then suddenly this guard is one of the hardest people to fight against.
It's insane, and he's way bigger as well, because I was fighting him, but I had to hit his face way up, because you can see it in the video. The only part you see is the bottom of his face, and I'm constantly come on, why would he go down? And I went for the balls again, I went for the face. The balls weren't that effective, so
To make it more realistic, instead of like having a referee doing a countdown, it should be like just a drunk guy with a bag of chips. You know? 5, 4. That's what it should be like. Make it more realistic.
Imagine if you hit him in the balls, and then you see that slow mo you also get in Sniper Elite, where you're like you can see the impact. You know?
Explode.
Yeah.
Next level.
Yeah.
Next level.
I still find the training part the most fun of the entire game.
Oh
though.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Rocky
so
Balboa.
funny to do
It's
that
so
stuff.
funny.
Have they added the new fighters now? That the new movies out?
I don't think I've got to them yet because I think they're like the next ones that come after this
Yeah.
because they're the ones from the actual movie, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think it's like because like Dolph Lundgren's in the new movie again with Sly Stallone, and it's Dolph Lundgren's son. Like obviously it's not Dolph, but his son from the original movie, if you know what I mean.
It's
Come
like
back
that,
and fight
yeah,
Adonis.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And I was a big fan of the original Creed, and I think Michael J. Jordan does a fantastic job of the character. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out the sequel. But yeah, in terms of what I played this week, I wanted to talk about virtual desktop on Oculus Go actually, because a few episodes ago when I wasn't here, I listened to the show afterwards, and I listened to Zim talking about his experience with virtual desktop on the Go from OC5, and it's funny because we never talked about it, and I never actually met the developer of it at the show, but I was listening to you talking about it, and when you said that you were able to remote into his PC that was like miles and miles away at his home. I was like, I never knew that was a feature of virtual desktop for the Go. So when it launched, I got early access to it because it launched this Thursday, but I think I got early access on Tuesday. Yep. So I got to check it out. And yeah, exactly. If you're not familiar with virtual desktop on Go, you can basically remotely access your PC from anywhere. So, you know, that could mean that if you're in the same house, you want to just play your desktop PC games in bed, you can do that. Or, you know, if you're on the other side of the world and you want to access your email from your PC or something, you can do that as well. And I just never knew that was a function. So as long as you've got a decent internet connection, ideally like a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, you can do it from anywhere, which is really cool. Yeah. So I got to test it out. I tested out playing some games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider to play outside of VR right now. So I played a bit of that, and the latency was pretty decent. Even though I was using a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, the latency was still good enough to play. And that's with the Xbox One S controller connected to the Go, and that signal's being sent over the internet and back to my PC. So really, for that to happen and the latency still be so low is pretty good technology.
When you say like low latency, do you have any idea? Like, did you mention any like kind of numbers, like what kind of latency is working with at the moment?
Well, basically, I could play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Well, you know, I didn't have any issues playing it. I did try it with Forza Horizon 4 because I'm also playing that at the moment as well. But that was way too fast, I think, especially for my 2.4 gigahertz connection. If I was on a 5 gigahertz, I think it would have been fine. But I just don't have a 5 gigahertz connection in my office. But you know, even for just basic mundane day-to-day tasks, it's more than capable of doing that. Yeah. And the Go controller actually navigating around your desktop works so surprisingly well. You know, you use it as a mouse essentially, as a pointer, and it's just very easy to navigate and use. And the thing is, there are other solutions out there that are free, but you really have to mess around with sideloading these applications using ADB and other bits and pieces. So this is it's a paid-for app. I think it's $7.99 in British pounds, $12 I think, $10 to $12. But I also put it toe-to-toe with Big Screen as well, because Big Screen I would say is his probably biggest competitor, and they're both very similar apps when it comes to the Rift version, but the Go versions are very different. The Big Screen is still the best application for meeting up with friends and watching content together, although with Go, obviously you can't host a room, you just have to join a room that a friend with a Rift has hosted or a Vive has hosted. But with Virtual Desktop, it seems way more powerful on the Go than the Big Screen version on the Go. Because Big Screen, you can't really control your desktop as well. You have to be physically seated at your desktop for it to control it. So. And
that quality parameter, like the difference between using, and I've been using virtual desktop since it was out, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. Like using it on a Rift is nice, but using it on the Go is actually better, especially with this linkage. So if you were like thinking, which one am I going to buy, and you have a Go and you have a PC VR headset, you might actually be thinking to yourself, I'll go with PC VR because that'll probably be higher quality. I actually find the Go experience better because of the fact that you can, and it's kind of like open wide. I mean, the thing that I haven't tried, Mike, and I'm glad to hear your feedback on it, is the Bluetooth pairing with the gamepad. Because to be honest, I find the utilization of the gamepad with the Go games to be really reduced. Like generally speaking, the Go controller is best for Go games. I find across the platform, and there aren't that many games that support natively. But this whole kind of pass-through of I'm going to play from my desktop on the Go screen, sitting on my couch, on the other side of my house, across 5 gig Wi-Fi, and it works so flawlessly. The quality of the videos and the desktop is just that notch better than on Rift, and it makes the game change, actually, for me. It's just like a huge difference.
Yeah.
So.
I would totally agree. There are some caveats just to worth noting, and that is that it's PC only right now. So if you've got a Mac, that's not going to work right now. 3D SBS movies aren't supported just yet, but it's high priority on the roadmap for the developers. And also, if you've got a second monitor, you can't access that right now either. But these are all things that are in the roadmap for the future. But yeah, if you really want to access your PC remotely, like Zim said, the Go is definitely the best way to do it with virtual desktops. So
single dev, good on Guy for what he's achieved. It feels so polished, like for what he's actually released. So
the ease of setup, the ease of access, and the UI, top notch. Absolutely, well worth checking out. So let's jump into some quick news then, and I just want to start off with StarVR because we talked about this at the end of last week's show, and there was some comments in the video chat afterwards correcting me because I made a slight mistake on some of the information that I provided. So I just want to clarify that now. So I said that the headset, the StarVR One, features Tobii eye tracking, which is used for auto IPD adjustment, and that is right. But for clarification, the headset does also support dynamic foveated rendering. So it's not necessarily enabled now, but the system they've got implemented supports it. So it does work.
We're still waiting for the software to be there.
Exactly, but it is capable of delivering that. And basically, if you're not familiar with what dynamic foveated rendering is, it basically means that the eye tracking can work out exactly where your pupils are looking on the display, and that part of the display is rendered at the highest possible quality, and then everything else in your peripheral vision and around it will be rendered at a lower quality. But the thing is, the eye tracking works so quickly with your eyes that you will never notice that degradation in quality around you. But the great thing is, it gives you performance headroom and allows you to use a headset like this on lower end graphics cards. Although saying that, the bare minimum is still a GTX 1080. But that's what it is essentially. But it's also worth noting that the company state that the headset does support dual input VR SLI mode for 1 graphics card per eye, which is pretty next level. And also, I just wanted to clarify some points on the StarVR One XT because they're essentially the same headset in terms of specs, but the XT has built-in optical markers, so it can be used with other tracking solutions other than the Steam VR Lighthouse system. So you've got the StarVR One, which is Steam VR sort of ecosystem, and then you've got the XT, which is basically for enterprise and business for their own standalone tracking systems for like military applications or big car manufacturers, for example.
Yeah.
But also, while we're on the subject of StarVR, we did have some news about the headset this week, and that is that they're facing threat of closure or sale right now. Now, StarVR is majority owned by Acer and 1/3 being owned by Starbreeze. They're actually a game development studio in the past. But StarVR was recently delisted from the Taiwan Stock Exchange after only 6 months of trading on there. And unlike, obviously, Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, StarVR really focused on enterprise applications, business, VR arcades. That was their kind of main business model. However, just recently, big clients like IMAX have started to scale back their operations. And we've seen that recently here in the UK as well, as one of their VR centres, particularly one in Manchester at the Trafford Centre, has just closed down. And they're obviously taking a financial hit because of this scaling back. So Starbreeze said that they would decide at the end of December whether StarVR will cease to be a public company or not, but they will try and retain the intellectual property rights of the StarVR One headset. Their partner, Acer, they said they're looking to potentially sell the company to a Japanese or Chinese investor. But it's unlikely due to all this. Like, don't worry, I don't think the StarVR One is going anywhere. It's just maybe that another company will own it as a product and sell it.
Yeah.
Could be a good thing.
Behind the scene.
Yeah, it could be. It would be really interesting if someone like HTC or Oculus decided to just buy this, StarVR One as a technology, or maybe take it off the market for competition.
HTC has shown interest into like making like a business edition and like making something maybe more arcade related. So Who knows,
It's whether or not they got the
impressive
cash
to
to front
see.
right now, I mean, that's the thing. But it's interesting after so soon after, their IPO that they would be turned around and in trouble. It says a lot about the foundation underlying it. But I think you're right, Mike, if the tide's pulling out, that can catch anybody off guard, any small company, even if you've just publicly listed.
It's a shame because, in terms of headsets right now, it's like the mecca of headsets. It's the big daddy. It's the one that everyone aspires to be like. So it's going to be kind of
that
interesting to see what
technology is
happens.
not going anywhere. It's like you said, if they don't do it, then there will probably be another company that reaps the benefits of it.
Yeah, of course, but Acer is a big company. I'm sure they spent a lot of time developing these lenses and everything else, the technology behind it. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled. Once we know more, we'll obviously report back on the show. So just thought I'd keep you updated on that one. Next up, we're going to talk about some PSVR bundles. Now, once again, PlayStation just confirm they know what they're doing when it comes to marketing and giving the consumer exactly what they want. And we've got some really cool bundles announced for PSVR. Some bundles seem to be exclusive to different markets. So if you're in the market for a PSVR, make sure you keep your ears peeled back for this one. So the first bundle I want to talk about is the platforming bundle, I like to call it. And this features the latest PSVR headset, the PlayStation camera, and digital codes for Moss and Astrobot. Two fantastic platformers, and that's available for $300, and that's going to be US only, I believe. I don't think that bundles over here in Europe or in the UK. If you're interested to know about the PSVR, about which model is which, you'll know it's the latest PSVR from the little triangle weird indents on the side of the headset, and that's for basically the built-in earbuds to place them in there while you're not using them. But some advantages over the new PSVR over the older one is that it's got these built-in earbuds that are a little bit more tucked away so they're not dangling around. You also have a better control box, which isn't hanging by your knees anymore.
I wish.
Also,
it makes such a difference. I have literally considered buying a newer version of the PSVR just for that, because that design, like that giant rectangle hanging off. If you're buying a used PSVR, just be aware that you might get that.
Yeah. So it's worth noting, just keep an eye out for that little triangle on the side of it, and you'll know that that's the newer model if you're in the market for a PSVR. But the other bundles I just want to talk about are the PSVR Mega Pack. Now, again, this features the latest PSVR, PlayStation controller, and digital codes for, get this is awesome, Skyrim, PlayStation VR Worlds, Astrobot, Doom VFR, and Wipeout. This is coming out in 2 days' time on the 3rd of December, and this seems to be exclusive to the UK right now. So if you're in the US, sorry, but this is just coming to the UK and Europe, and it's going to be £300. Like, for that many games.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's
my
worth noting
favorite game in there. I mean, what a bundle! What a bundle! The only thing that they could have probably sweetened it was if they put Beat Saber in it or something. But as a starter pack, the only thing in that set that I don't really like is what's that one that was the launch title, Mike? You said it just a moment ago.
PlayStation VR Worlds.
Yeah, that's the only one that I think is quality-wise below the others. But what a bundle!
But it's a great introduction, though.
Oh, amazing. But the only issue with this pack is that it doesn't feature the Move controllers. So you will have to buy them separately. And I think they're about £80 to £90 here in the UK.
Yeah.
But I did find a couple recently at my local sort of game store. And they were secondhand, and it was 40 quid for two of them. Yeah. But they were the micro USB versions.
That's the ones I've got.
Not the micro, the mini USB version. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted some advice from you guys. Do you think it's worth me getting those or getting the micro USB?
For the price difference, yes.
Just get the older ones, the secondhand ones.
Yeah, there's no difference in the button configuration and performance or anything like that. It's literally just the connector. Yeah. It depends on how much of your home is the newer connector, because then it might piss you off. But honestly,
I have cables everywhere anyway.
The way it works for me, Mike, is those two end up sitting on my PS4 Pro, cabled to the two USB ports at the front, just charging while it's on kind of download mode or whatever, rest mode. And so there's no real reason for you to go after the newer one. So it's a good price for half.
I think that people in the chat are also discussing how many PSVRs are there now already sold. Do you guys have any ideas how many?
We know for a fact that it's the top selling headset right now.
I looked it up just now. If you would have to do an estimation, how many headsets?
I think it's over 2 million now, isn't it?
2 million?
I think they passed 2 million. So
I think it's like 2.3 million.
Zim?
Well, do I have to guess?
Yeah,
2.3.
2.3. Well, they hit 3 million in August already,
right.
according to
Yeah.
a source. So they're on their way to the 4 million already.
I should have known that because we probably talked about it on the show with
did,
numbers,
yeah.
but I've got a memory like a fish, and that's why I have to write everything down.
I think Sony is the only one of all these, consumer VR companies that really target their audiences with different bundles in different zones. Where in America they might have a different interest because the launch titles came out at a different date. While in Europe and the UK, so it's amazing. It's amazing that everyone also gets their own kind of thing. Where I sometimes feel like outside of Sony. When you are in Europe, it's usually no deal for us. It's like US only, and it's like, okay, yeah, here we go again. And Sony is like, they are everywhere. So it's amazing. And I'm not sure if you were going to mention another bundle.
I was.
Another one.
Yes, I was.
Surprise us, because I mean, Zim was already, but
yes.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
So the best bundle and the coolest bundle, in my opinion, I saved it for last, and that is Beat Saber and Borderlands 2 bundle. I think this is going to be coming out in North America first, and that's going to be launching on the 14th of December, and that's going to be for $350, and that does feature the Move controllers. So you get the new PSVR, the PlayStation camera, Move controllers, Beat Saber, and Borderlands 2. That's an epic bundle right there. So that's going to be very interesting. So you've got those 3 bundles, 2 of which I think are US, 1 is UK. But if you're in the market for a PSVR, you've got some great bundles there to pick up. But whilst we're on the subject very briefly on Borderlands 2, some beady-eyed people from the VR community spotted a very small print in some recent marketing material that highlighted that Borderlands 2 will be exclusive to PSVR for 5 months.
Oh.
So that would suggest that it's coming to PC VR. And it's going to be 5 months from around the 15th of December. So mark that in your diaries.
This is the first time I see a PSVR game that is an exclusive that actually, I think because Gearbox is so big that they're like, listen, we just want to tell everyone else that, because sometimes it kind of damages you a little bit where it's like, it's exclusive and for how long, and we hate it. And now it's like, now it's not that bad because it's like, oh, okay, let's wait for like 4 or 5 months and we're okay. So I think that's nice. It's the first time I see that. With like the first time I was like, oh, when is it coming out? Was with Batman. I was like, when is this coming to PC? And then we had to wait for like, I think a year or even longer. So I'm not complaining. Like 5 months.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Fine, yeah.
And the thing is as well, like what I'm really hoping for is that the PC VR version has co-op support, because we know that the PSVR version doesn't have that. And we've known historically, especially with games like Electronauts, the PlayStation version didn't have co-op support, but the PC version did. Yeah. So that'd be very interesting to see if that comes to PC.
They're just exciting bundles, though. I mean, I think about anyone, like if I was 16 years old right now, like any of those bundles going on, the wish list for Santa Claus is like, that's pretty freaking cool to get to potentially get something like that, and then, man, that makes your first half of next year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, Sony are the first real company to capitalize on VR's most successful game right now, Beat Saber. They've got a bundle with it. No one else has done that yet, and why? Like, why wouldn't they? I don't understand. And this is what concerns me about the Quest. I think really the Quest should be bundled with Beat Saber, and they should really push that forward. But let's see if it's going to happen or not.
They got their own title there, the Star Wars Vader game. Like they're probably going to make a bundle with that.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see.
I have to say, it seems like Oculus have done cash deals, but have not done game quality deals, what I'll call. What you see with Sony, they tend to package, they're tending to package decent titles with the console to push both the software and the hardware at the same time. And I find a lot of the stuff that Oculus has bundled so far to be pretty soulless, to be honest, the packaging. And I don't think they're combining the right titles.
Well, they tried it with Marvel Powers United, and that's a game they made in collaboration. And I think Sony is the only one that just says like, okay, we see this game being popular, let's bundle it. And others don't act on that. I mean, Vive tried that with Fallout 4, and now that one had some issues, so that also didn't really work. But overall, like Sony just, they are so fast. Like now as well with December, it's like, okay, let's do this right now. Here are all the bundles. This is what we're going to do. And as a consumer, you constantly get, awarded for being their customer. And with these other headsets, you don't feel that vibe. You just don't feel it.
Yep.
With Sony, it's like, okay, this is why, like, and that's why, like, personally, I'm playing way more with the PlayStation VR because I'm really proud to be owning one and to be playing these games because they give me something in return. And with the Vive and the Rift and the other ones, right now there's nothing really going on.
Well
They
said.
should really just
Well
be
said.
like, okay, Beat Saber, let's do a PC bundle as well. You know, but right now PlayStation for 2 years is just, you know, okay, let's bundle this and let's do that. And I also feel like because they are in this, you know, playfield for way longer and they have a very good relationship with developers that, you know, they know exactly what they are doing. So again, we will see a lot of new PlayStation VR users this Christmas, and then maybe in 2 years, you know, that new PlayStation with that new VR headset, and then everyone hops over. It's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay, so let's move on to some more quick news and some more interesting hardware. I want to talk about the Razer Nari Ultimate Wireless Headphones. This is kind of interesting because a member of my Discord community called On the Front Line highlighted this pair of headphones to me this week after he had bought them and said they were pretty cool after checking them out. If you're into PC gaming, you'll likely know who Razer are. You know, everything's branded kind of neon green. They make gaming accessories like headphones, keyboards, laptops, everything else. But they recently released a new pair of wireless headphones called the Nari Ultimate. And the headphones use 2.4 gigahertz wireless technology for lag-free, high-fidelity audio up to sort of 12 meters. And it features THX 360 spatial audio and obviously built-in mic and everything else. But the coolest feature about these headset is Razer HyperSense. Now, you're probably asking, what is this? Well, this technology is basically haptic feedback for your ears. So these headsets have got little haptic transducers in them. And based on audio cues from the game, you can now sort of get a sense of planes roaring overhead or recoil from burst fire from guns and stuff like that, creating a whole new layer of immersion when you're in your games. And I thought this would be kind of interesting for VR because, you know, I think the Rift headphones are pretty decent, but you can obviously remove them and put your own pair of headphones on, especially with them being wireless. It makes them pretty interesting. And having tried haptic feedback with the Haptic vest and the facial interface kit, even though it's subtle haptic feedback, it does actually add something to the experience that you're playing. So I was really intrigued about these headsets, and I'm trying to get my hands on a pair to try and test them out, but I thought I would share it on the show.
Are they already out or not?
Yeah, they're already out. They are pretty expensive. It's worth noting.
Razer, I mean, what a surprise.
Yeah. So these are 200 quid in the UK, which is pretty expensive for a pair of headphones, especially if you're already paying 400 quid for a Rift anyway. But if you're after a set of headphones, maybe it'd be worth checking them out. But if you've got a pair or you're interested or you know about them, let us know in the comments because I'd love to know your feedback if you've actually tested these.
I got a quick question. Like, are they compatible with VR? Like, have people done it with VR? Because if it's spatial audio, it can always be a little bit of a problem, I think, because normally your headphones in VR are not spatial audio because you already have spatial tracking.
Right. I have no idea because obviously they're sold to traditional PC gamers, but I thought you know they could be kind of interesting
to test it, basically.
VR. Yeah, but you're kind of right though. You're right though because the built-in audio with the Rift, like you say, is tracked based on your head movement. So yeah, that could be a real downfall of using something.
Because I never liked those like spatial audio headphones. Like for me, it doesn't work. Like when it's behind me, it's like above me, and like when it's like in front of me, it doesn't really feel like it's in front of me. So I find that like that spatial audio, if it's not recorded with binaural microphones, not really that impressive.
VR or just in general?
He means in general.
In general?
Yeah, in general. Because in VR they don't use that because you use the audio source is just located based on the spatial movement of your head.
You
so
do
that's
get
completely
so wait, because you use your wireless headphones with the Rift, right? You don't use the Rift ones?
Yeah, but these are Sennheisers. These are audio studio quality microphones, so they're not.
So you saying using those headphones you've got right now, you don't get that spatial audio using the Rift with those?
I only have the spatial audio because of the Rift, not because of my headphones. No.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I hear something on the right, it's because my head is on the right side. It's not because of my headphones.
Yeah,
right.
So the audio processing is being held by Oculus's software layer.
Yeah. So then the same would be said for the Nari headset as well, then, right?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You
unless
can have a
like,
stereo.
a spatial feature.
Yeah, because it takes the audio cues from the game rather than anything else.
I'm really interested in them because there's a problem with any wireless audio that is then going to be haptic, because there is a noticeable delay, and that's my biggest concern, because I've done haptics for the last 5 years solid, and I'm very interested in the concept of these. I'm super concerned about the fact that they're wireless and the delay that's inherent with that, because even with the sub pack that's cabled line in to the command box has a delay of say 50 milliseconds. You add another 30, 40, like it could literally be delayed in terms of the way that you experience it, because one of the difficulties is if you're driving a subwoofer, it's already a heavy cone to be actually driving, and so you have a natural mechanical delay that you will, if there's an explosion go off, your eyes will see it and then you'll feel it slightly after. And if you have this throughout your gaming experience, it becomes really obvious to you. So I'm super interested in trying these out. So
if on the front line is in the chat, let us know, because I know he does tune into the show every now and again. So if he's in the chat,
the reason
let us know what you think.
why I brought that up is because, like, for VR, most often, like, just the two audio sources are enough, because your ears are two audio sources as well. So the way that the audio hits your ear will be rough, not entirely, but will be roughly the same, because especially when you're wearing headphones like I am. But if you have something that is spatially making audio, like making audio spatially artificially in your headset by putting like on the one side louder, like on the other side a little bit less louder, driven by the game audio, it will be a lot less spatially aware than what, for example, you're doing with a virtual reality headset.
So, okay.
Yeah. What I can see it is basically you're going to see a conflicting software layers if you have this switched on. It's the same thing if you have a sound card and you use the 3D audio effects. I've noticed that as well, and I would compare my reaction to this the same with Rowdy. I'd be concerned if you couldn't switch it off. If you can switch those features off and use it just like a 2.1 headset.
But if you switch it off, can you still use the trans? The
transducers are just going to run off the bass frequency. It's not,
still,
there's just rumble strips that are hitting your head basically. So I'm convinced it's a cool idea. Actually, I'll take rumbles on any part of my body. I don't mind.
Okay. So Paradise DK is saying that Zim would actually respond to like headphones like these in this way. You're not putting lasers into my eyes, and you're fucking not putting jet engines into my ears. But to keep this like this, because we don't really know, and I'm very curious if someone is gonna test them out. I honestly, I'm not gonna buy Razer headphones right now. I have some bad experiences with Razer products. I mean, I had some headphones with them, and now using like Bayer Dynamic headphones, and I'm a happy customer. But if someone says like, "Whoa, this is great," and it kind of works, or we're getting there, yeah, I want to try it. I mean, this is another thing you can add. And if you already have this B-haptic suit, and you already have the cover, and you have these headphones, like you can constantly upgrade it. And funny enough, last week I saw on Reddit some rumors where people said like, it might be possible that Valve is gonna add like haptic, headphones to this headset they are working on. So, but there are also reports where people said like, but it could, damage your, because it's your skull is like vibrating and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on inside your head then, but.
One more quick thing is that because I remember before I purchased these, I was also like very invested in like, should I get like surround sound headphones? And I found like a lot of stuff on Reddit, and there were people like also saying like that surround sound is more meant for like front facing experience. For example, if you're watching a movie and you want to have like the sound behind you, that is ideal. But because your head movements are tracked in virtual reality, you could better invest like in like a decent pair of like headphones that just have stereo sound, like two audio sources, because you will still get the spatial awareness from.
I do know people that don't use headphones at all. They just have this, set up in their house, and they just play in the middle. That could work. I mean, you could do that, but.
So that's why we have a scientist on the show. He can teach us new things. I didn't even consider that before, Rowdy. So thank you for bringing up that as a valid point. So let's move into some game releases. We've got 3 games for you next week. So let's start off with Arcas Path. Now, for those not familiar with this game, it's a physics-based platforming game where you control a ball through a series of maze-like levels. The story sort of follows a young girl who lives on a scrapyard, and one day she finds a mysterious mask which she puts on her face, and then it transports her to the mysterious world of Arca. And then you sort of she embodies a ball which you navigate around the world just using gaze movement with your head. So there's no controllers involved. You just purely use your head to control the ball, and you have to control her through the environments to basically get her home. So I got to try this maybe 3 months ago in London. It's developed by Dream Reality Interactive, the same team that brought you that David Attenborough experience, and it's being published by Rebellion. And it's going to be on every platform. So this is kind of interesting. This is the first game I think I've known that's releasing on pretty much every headset that's available right now. So it's going to be on PSVR, Steam, Oculus, Rift, Vive, Oculus Go, Windows MR, Gear VR, and Vive Focus. So it's going to be on everything. It's coming out on the 4th of December. I don't have any pricing on it just yet. But it's kind of one of those games, when I played it, it's very relaxing because you don't have a controller. It's very chilled out. The colors are very vibrant. The art style is really nice. It's got kind of a comic book kind of narrative to it to tell the story. The one thing I was concerned about, which I kind of highlighted to the developers, was that it looks too accessible almost. Like, is this game just going to be way too easy and not really challenge like hardcore players? But he was quick to sort of say, it does get more challenging, and the levels and the environments do get a lot darker in tone. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. Like I say, it's coming out on Tuesday, the 4th of December. I think this game's really going to do well on the mobile platforms because of this.
I
no
don't
controller.
feel like this is very like a PC experience. It's more something you want to, play on a mobile standalone device.
Those kinds of games, perfect for like Oculus Go on a plane. Go on, a couple of hours, take a snooze.
On the road game. Yeah, it's like an on the road kind of game. Yeah. Or you want to do room skill, like
I gotta say though,
all over the place.
That ball would never roll. All those triangles, like it's a perfect shape to like stop moving. They could have gone for a D20, picked up the gamer crowd as well, but
So yeah, that is Arcas Path, and then Rowdy's going to be super excited about this one. I think you all know what it's going to be, because Prison Boss is coming to PSVR next week. Yes.
You almost didn't put it in the news. Don't pretend that you were like, oh yeah, I was gonna. No, it was me who told you like you should put that in there.
Well, yeah. As you are the Prison Boss, maybe you can tell us all about the game. Then
you go and watch my videos. I have tons of them.
Rowdy was really waiting for that bundle to happen, Prison Boss haptics, and you have like little props.
I'm planning on checking it out though. I want to check it out. Like how it's one of the games that made my channel as popular as it is right now, and I want to see how it is on the PlayStation. I want to see if there's something new. Who knows?
You should reinvigorate the series. The Prison Boss is back.
Yeah. You have no idea how many people have been asking this.
You should just do it. Yeah. But if you're not familiar with Prison Boss, it is basically what it sounds like. You're in prison, you're in a cell, and you have to make contraband. So you can roll cigarettes, you can write letters. Is that right, Rowdy? You can make hooch.
Yeah, the goal is to escape from the prison. You're put in different prisons in each time, and you need to escape by basically building an escape tool, which is like a hammer. But to get out, you first need to do enough assignments to get enough money, to get enough credit. You need to become the boss of the prison, and then you can actually break out of there. And you can make contraband like cigarettes, alcohol, weird little statues at the end. You can write sex letters for the other prisoners, and there's kind of weird little things, but it's hilarious to do it. Yeah, I did have a lot of fun.
I feel like Mike doesn't realize how much effort it takes to, escape from a prison 6 times like Rowdy did. I mean, some criminals, like the top-notch criminals on this planet, they escape maybe twice or 3 times, and they get help from the outside. But Rowdy, he did it from the inside,
Yeah.
He's starting out with just selling some cigarettes or something, and then he builds it up,
Top,
he spends maybe a week in VR, he's constantly needing to charge his controllers to keep, his escape plan rolling. I mean, this is this requires some preparation.
What you didn't know was that the Netflix series Orange is the New Black was actually based on Rowdy's story, but they just changed the cast to women so they wouldn't know who it was really about.
Yeah. We're supposed to say that.
Yeah. So if you're into being in a cell, then you can check that out. It comes out on the 4th of December, the same day as Arcas Path. So you've really got two very different games to check out there. And then third, you're a PSVR owner. You're going to be very happy. This is 3 games, a little hat trick for you. This is Red Matter is coming to PSVR next week as well. And we've been banging on about this game on the show for a long time now. We mention it almost every episode. It becomes like a meme now. If you don't know about it, I finished it. Yes, I did. But you can infiltrate a moon base as a secret agent, and you have to solve puzzles. Your mission is to investigate a shady top secret research project that basically went wrong. And if you enjoy puzzle games in VR, this is definitely one of the better ones. The puzzle design is very varied, very interesting. It's got a storyline to it, but to be honest, that takes second place to the puzzle design and the environments.
I wonder, are they going to change the controllers?
Yes, and this is something that I wondered as well. And I looked into the Vive version, which is on Steam VR, and they changed the controllers for the Vive version as well. So if you're not familiar with Red Matter, when on the Rift version you look down, basically it was a big pair of astronaut space gloves holding Rift controllers, like touch controllers. So everything was mapped exactly how it should be in real life. So it felt very intuitive to use the controls, very cool. And they kind of transformed with little pincers coming out of them, which was also really cool. But yeah, for the Steam VR version, they transformed them into wands, and then I think they're going to do the same for PSVR as well, but that's not confirmed, but I'm pretty sure they will do.
It felt so good. That's the thing I like. There's not so many games that you remember, like you pick up a controller and you're like, wow, this feels spot on. And the development required to get to that point, just must be so many iterations, but they got it. I mean, from the second I touched it, those little grippers, the reason it works is his hand presence is because you feel like you're holding something, and those things are holding something else, and so your brain kind of disconnects from, I'm not touching it with my hands, I'm grabbing something that's grabbing them, and it just works. It's fantastic.
And the physics in this game have been very, very well done, and I think graphically it looks great. It looks really beautiful. I think this is honestly, this is one of the best games of this year.
Yep, it's up there for sure. Definitely one of my highest rated puzzle games for sure, without doubt. It comes out in Europe on the 6th of December, so Thursday next week, and the States will be getting it a few days later. But it's weird, they've been very quiet about this, and I only got this information through someone else commenting on Vertical Robot's Twitter about Daedalus, and they passingly mentioned Red Matter, and they said, oh yeah, it's coming to PSVR next week, actually.
In general, their marketing strategy wasn't super... I mean, even when this game was first announced, there wasn't that much traffic going on.
It's a shame, because it deserves being in the spotlight for a little while, I think.
High quality studio, I'd say, between Daedalus and Red Matter. I mean, it really feels like Half-Life gone a little bit more puzzly and a little bit darker. How long did it take you, Mike, to finish Red Matter, start to finish? Would you say by hours?
Maybe 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 5.
May Shuhai bless this game.
yeah, exactly. So there's some game releases coming out next week. So let's jump into some main topics, and let's talk about the HTC Vive McLaren edition. So recently at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, HTC Vive and McLaren announced a special edition of the Vive Pro. And this is the first product of their kind of partnership, which they announced earlier on in the year. Now, the headset will be paired with the new McLaren Garage VR experience, which was made by Vive Studio and is going to be obviously released in cooperation with McLaren, as well as a custom version of R Factor 2 McLaren Edition. So before we jump into any more, I wanted to talk to Zim about this, because he's like the kind of resident sim racer. Or Zim Racer, and have you tried out this R Factor 2? I don't know if you checked this one out.
No, I actually didn't know that it was even VR supported. There's loads of games that have been kind of 2D VR racer games that have been VRified over time, but I just didn't know about it. R Factor 2 has a big name, certainly in the market, and I'd say that a lot of the people who I race with do play it. But I had no knowledge of it. Actually, even at this point, I didn't know that it was playable right now, because if it is, I'll go bloody try it. I just haven't looked at it at all.
So you can play the normal version on Steam right now, and it is compatible with VR headsets, including Windows MR. But this version of it is going to be a McLaren Special Edition, which is going to be exclusive to Viveport. So basically, you've got the McLaren headset, and then you've got these two VR experiences. The McLaren Garage is basically a multiplayer simulation game, which is kind of weird, where you become part of the McLaren pit crew. You have to learn how to complete tire adjustments, and just like a crew in a real race, you have to change all the stuff and work together. So that's kind of interesting, and it has like a pit stop challenge. And then you've got this kind of version of R Factor 2, which is a McLaren edition. So you get McLaren,
some skins and
Formula One cars.
and...
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So this game was already a VR Vive before the Vive Pro McLaren edition came out. So
exactly, yeah. But this McLaren edition of the game with the extra stuff is just going to be exclusive to Vive Port.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting. But the McLaren headset itself is kind of a strange product really to launch. It's a bit of a strange collaboration as well, because the Vive Pro has always kind of been marketed as an enterprise headset, like, it's for businesses, whereas this really seems like it's been targeted to sim racers, because if you're a sim racer or you're into cars, McLaren, you'll know them, you'll be familiar with them, and maybe you're aligned to them and you might be interested in something like this. But this bundle is super expensive and is really a premium bundle, even over what it is already, because the Vive Pro with the 2.0 base stations and the new controllers is already £1,300, like British pounds. So it's a real expensive piece of kit. But this exclusive McLaren version, you pay £150 premium on that. So it's £1,450 for this. And really, the only difference that sets it aside from the other bundle I just mentioned is that you get a little orange plaque on the front of the headset that says McLaren on it, and some orange buttons on the controllers and some orange wrist straps.
Looks pretty good, to be honest.
and a 6-month free access to Viveport.
Yeah, I think you know what my thought is, given where it launched, I think McLaren is perhaps owned out of the Middle East, and I think that when it comes to kind of all the oil money out there as well, releasing a specified headset for racing, which again gets a fair amount of attention out there, probably isn't a terrible launch for that market. But for other Western European markets, I agree with you, Mike. I think the price point is like attaching an anchor to the product, and with R Factor 2's special edition launching specifically on Viveport, that's like a second anchor that's going to help sink it to the bottom right out the gates.
I found it funny that if you look at like the video, they're all wearing like the wireless trackers, which I find a bit hilarious, because if there's one game where you wouldn't need like the wireless trackers, it would be like a simulation racer game. Like,
and this is the thing, like if you're targeting a bundle sim racers, why do you need like 2.0 base stations? Why do you need these two controllers? You could really strip it down. You probably only need one if it's front facing.
It'd be way cheaper for sure.
Yeah.
I think that behind the scenes they made a very good deal. Like, even outside of just making this headset, I think behind the scenes they have now a relationship with McLaren, and maybe in the future, they have like I think they already have like a pro sports team that is gonna use these headsets. I mean, right now we see like Echo Arena and Onward being these pro sports games in VR. But I mean, sim racing is of course also a big part of that, and soon with VR, it's like an upcoming thing. So it's smart to already partner up with someone and make your own like headset. I think we're gonna see that more in the future.
I can't wait for like a pro sport football game, to be honest.
Oh God, no! Don't even start. What was that game that it wasn't Servius who launched that? They launched that football game, the VR footy game, where you literally used your hands as you were running on the track, and then you had to like turn and then run. Like, I really appreciated what they did with it, but my God, like, please let's not do the pro footy. Like FIFA VR, if it came out, I'm sure someone would be happy about it, but they need to figure out that control scheme first.
But like, I honestly like that part I do understand. I it's kind of strange that the Vive Pro was they made it clear like this is for enterprises. In the end, the McLaren edition is like, it's a Vive Pro as well. It's the same thing, just with some skins on it. And I agree, it looks kind of nice. I wish they made like the standard Vive Pro a little bit more like that, where they had some more colors to play with. But the moment they launch it on Black Friday, and they put this trailer out where it's really a consumer trailer, and with the Vive Pro, it made sense that it was for arcades. The deals they offered made sense. But with this deal, it's like you're getting this, racing game with it, and they make this trailer very consumer friendly. Like, if you were an arcade, you wouldn't buy this headset for that free game, but they really made it as a deal. Like, listen, if you are a consumer, if you are a sim racer, you're gonna love this. And yeah, they should have just bundled it with a steering wheel instead, or something that was also orange with blue, and made something extra, like a bigger bundle. Just save up that money of those controllers and those base stations, and just add like maybe that pro seat they have, or a nice steering wheel or something else to it. Then it could have been great. But right now, like, why do you need those 2.0 base stations? I mean, that's...
Why do you even need the controls for them?
Well, at first I was like, maybe you need to hover through the menu, but you can do that with a gamepad as well, or with the buttons on the steering wheel, right? I mean, you have like options for that, I would say. So I don't know, it's like really confusing. And I've seen a lot of people that also got confused the moment Black Friday started, because then you go to the website, you have the vanilla Vive, then you have the Vive Pro that is kind of in the middle of like, I could buy this as a consumer. It's still really expensive, but maybe I have the money for it. It's like prosumer stuff. And then they also launched this new headset at the same moment, and it's all over this website. So like, imagine being a consumer going to this website, and yeah, you could check out the specs, but still the prices are like all over the place. And I'm sure that most people were like, let me just go for this vanilla Vive because I've never tried VR, and let me just go for it.
Or oh look, PSVR bundle. That's what I would have done if I didn't have a headset.
Yeah, so it's like, I think for HTC it was a great deal, but it actually caused some confusion for consumers.
But the thing is, you're paying here £150 premium essentially for an orange badge on the front of your headset you're not even going to see when you're in VR. So like, what's the point? That's the thing.
I don't really think they care if they sell a lot or not.
I think the problem is
part of the...
maybe they've been hanging around with people at McLaren too long, and they think maybe everyone that owns a McLaren, and rolls around and's got all this money to throw up in the air and spend on these fancy headsets. Personally, I just kind of think it was kind of a bit pointless. I think it was a bit of a, especially when you see what PlayStation are doing with their marketing, and they're really like nailing it. I just think this was kind of like a real miss for them in terms of their marketing. Like, it's just branding for the sake of branding, it seems, rather than a real like collaboration product.
I mean, they just made it. I think they just made a very good deal, and this part of like the consumer getting confused is like the negative they had to take with this, where maybe McLaren said like, listen, we want to have like this branded Vive Pro, or maybe HTC suggested it, but next to that there is a lot of other stuff happening with this deal that was way better for both parties, or even maybe better for HTC. And this part, like, they had to just push it out. It's like, oh, okay, so now we have a deal, but now we need to make this Vive Pro with all this stuff on there. And they didn't release it in like Europe. They did this launch party in Dubai, right? It didn't even happen here. So
well, maybe we can look forward to some HTC Vive and McLaren branded thermal underwear, and like Zim's advice, we can all be toasty warm this winter. But who knows?
I'd be up for that.
Where would the orange badge then be, Mike?
Who knows? Who knows?
It'll be very small.
So let's talk about Minecraft on the Oculus Go, because the Oculus Go has been out for almost 7 months now, would you believe it? And it's got like a ridiculously huge library of games. And as we've said before, it's a great device for media consumption, social applications, and casual gaming. But one game that everyone has been waiting for is, of course, Minecraft. And it's super weird that it's omitted from the library of games available, because before the Go launched, we knew that Minecraft was available on Gear VR. So it just seemed like we knew that most games were going to be ported from Gear VR to Go. So it just made sense. It was going to be like a no-brainer that it was going to be there day one. And yet here we are 7 months later, and it's still nowhere to be seen. So it kind of got everyone confused. Still, a lot of people are upset about it. And there is actually a way of buying it legally from Oculus and sideloading it by using an Android emulator and downloading it and getting the APK file and sideloading it. Like, only the hardcore really are going to do that. If you're interested, there is a video on YouTube from Open PC Reviews. He did a really nice guide on how to do it. So if you're interested, you can go and check that out. If you just don't want to bother with that kind of stuff, which I think is the majority of people out there, then we got a little bit of glimmer of hope from a Minecraft dev this week on Reddit. Now, he was on Reddit under the username called Corner Hard, and he posted on the Oculus Reddit saying that if users wanted Minecraft on Go, they should then head over to minecraft.net and place a vote for Oculus Go to be supported. And the reason why he said this is because, like any big company, they get a lot of feedback from their player base, and they respond to the votes based on what the community is shouting about the loudest. So the loudest things that they're shouting about always get fixed first by a level of priority. And unfortunately, the Oculus Go is very low down in terms of priority right now. So he was suggesting that the community goes over their votes, and then if the votes get high enough, then it'll be higher up on the priority, and maybe it'll come to Go.
This sounds, sadly, I have to say this for all of our UK listeners, like what they did with broadband 10 years ago, where it's like, put your postcode in, and if you want broadband, click this little button, sign the digital petition, and maybe in 6 years we'll decide to upgrade your local supplier. I don't know. I guess if they're listening and they have a forum for it, great. Like you, I'm surprised it's not on it, because Minecraft does run on everything and a toaster, as you said. So
doesn't Oculus already
why it
know
doesn't
this
make
is
sense.
priority? I mean, why do people need to vote? It's kind of, I think it's kind of.
It just doesn't make sense. Like if you say it's not a priority, but it literally runs on everything else that is basically has like a computer chip in there. So why not do it on the Oculus Go?
And the weird thing is, when you do sideload it officially and buy it legally and sideload it on Go, it works great, because the Go is really comparable to a lot of the Gear VR
exactly.
phones out there.
You know what I think it is? I think that Minecraft is trying to get some money from Oculus.
Could be.
You know what I think? I think they're working on Minecraft 2, and they don't have the spare bandwidth to go put it on another device, because they're actually spending that time internally on Secret Project Minecraft 2.
Or maybe they're deciding to go straight for Quest. Who knows?
All these reasons basically sound like it's just not coming to the Go. I don't feel like it's coming to the Go. If it was really a priority for the people out there, or Oculus or anyone, then it would have been on there maybe the first 3 months the Go came out.
Exactly.
Plus, a developer putting this on Reddit and then asking for votes, that's such a strange way of doing it, but I would love to, and I also think they should, start developing more for, Minecraft, because, with the Oculus version you have, I think that one was free. You could only play with a gamepad, but with that Vivecraft mod, they were showing that it actually is really fun to use your hands too, and that's the same with this Go controller. I mean, that could work in any way. So I feel like there is some work to do, but as Zim said, maybe there's Minecraft 2, and it is gonna come eventually. I mean, first Mojang owned the Minecraft franchise, and now it's Microsoft. So they have a whole. I mean, even with AR, we have seen like Minecraft AR stuff. So there is a lot of Minecraft coming, like a new generation of Minecraft.
And it's not like I'm sure they're not short of money, but if it just means to just tick a box and release it for Go.
But also the side loading, like it just works, and all this side loading stuff is just legit.
Yeah,
and then
it seems very strange. But if you're a dedicated Minecraft fan, I'll make sure when the video's up, I'll put a link in the description so you can jump over there and cast your little vote. So we'll see what happens.
Let's not be too condescending now, Mike.
Tweet Oculus, send them emails like Minecraft. That's all you need to tell them, and they will know what you're talking about.
I just don't get it, because because Minecraft has now been around for 8 years or something. I mean, it's crazy the amount of kids who've grown up with this. That is a market that's not going to go away. That's a market that's just ready to be tapped into, which is why I think that Minecraft 2 has to happen. Microsoft wouldn't have put the money into it if they weren't planning something like that. And to release on Go, to me, just seems second nature, because a Go in the end is kind of like a handy family device. Anyone who's got kids and has a Go, I'll bet they've let their kids have a go at things like bait and other things. And Minecraft on there just makes total sense. So I'm with Nathy. I think they're leapfrogging this. And I'm going to couple that with what Mike said. Quest, maybe we're going to see that Quest. I'd love, because I think the restriction, if I compare it to Vivecraft, which is really the good way to play Minecraft in VR, because you can do multiplayer, you can do all these other things. The hand motion, the digging, for instance. which actually is a really good way to do it. Like actually digging blocks and all that, and then running around and doing stuff, physically building with your table. I'd love to see it. Love to see it. If they could get it to perform well. It is a procedural game that's very heavy on CPU, so they'd have to do some optimization, but they've already proven they can do that on mobile, so it seems like all the pieces are there.
Seems so, for sure.
Pieces, $100 bucks.
Cute.
Let's talk about this new Alien game that's coming. Now, we don't know if this is going to have VR support, so that's a big caveat before we start talking about it, just so you're aware. But over the last year, we've had snippets of information that a new Alien game is in the works, and we know that it's likely going to be unveiled at the Game Awards next week on the 6th of December.
That's
So
a good one.
Jeff Keighley, the creator of the Game Awards, recently tweeted that worlds will change on the 6th of December, and the tweet had a picture showing what looks like the Weyland Yutani W in the corner with worlds will change in the center. And for those familiar with the Alien franchise, Weyland Yutani is like the kind of evil corporation that basically wants to capture the xenomorph alien and weaponize it rather than obliterate it and destroy it, because
Seems
it's
like a smart idea to do that. Yeah.
Like that, honestly, that sounds to me like, you know, a new Alien Isolation game developed by Sega with a VR mode or a VR experience, like we always, you know.
I've got some more snippets to give you. What we do know is that it's not being developed by the same studio that made Alien Isolation. So that was Creative Assembly who made Isolation.
So Sega published it.
Exactly. So this game is going to be developed by Cold Iron Studios. They're actually based in San Jose. Had we known this information earlier, maybe we would have visited them whilst we were at OC5.
Breaking it.
But Cold Iron Studios was actually acquired by Foxnet Games in January this year. And Cold Iron features developers that worked on BioShock Infinite and Metroid Prime 3. So Foxnet also own a VR division, because they actually released, I don't know if you remember, there was a short 360 video when Alien Covenant launched.
I remember a lot, yeah.
The embryo one.
We were super hyped. Reddit was going crazy.
That was like the first like overhyped moment where we were like, okay, here we go. And it's like, here's a 360 of like, I don't know, like 3 seconds. It was kind of cool 360, but we were waiting for an actual game.
Exactly. So if you're not familiar with the 360 video, it's called In Utero. You can check it out now, on any headset basically. And basically you see the scene play out from the alien's perspective. You're actually in a host and you burst out of their back in spectacular fashion and then kill another member of the ship, which is actually kind of cool. But like you say, we all wanted more, so we were all disappointed at the time. Yeah. But it just shows that Foxnet do have a VR division. They acquired the studio that's making this game, so these kind of pieces could all align and we could get something really nice. So, we'll have to wait, obviously, until the 6th of December to find out for sure. But it's kind of interesting because I was stalking some of the developers' Twitter accounts, and one of them posted on their bio that it's an Aliens game they're working on, not an Alien game.
Ooh,
so it could be a game which features multiple aliens instead of just the one.
Oh,
like a Left 4 Dead type thing.
Wonderful. That sounds like exactly the game that I really want to play. That sounds actually like a game that will unfortunately never dare to play.
That does also sound like I'm sure they are gonna throw in a multiplayer thing here, where it's like, let's survive against one alien, or where you have this evolve kind of like gameplay where you need to hunt something down. But as we know from last year, Game Awards, they did some great announcements. I mean, Vacation Simulator got announced back then. So, I mean, there's always like a big part there where they, do VR stuff. And this year they also have an award for VR. Like Beat Saber's a one, and Astrobot. Most of them are PlayStation VR, by the way. I think one of them is a PC one, Moz. But yeah, I don't know. Like I honestly feel like it's not gonna be like just a VR game. I think the market is too small for that. But it might be where there's like a mode to it.
Yeah.
Or or like an experience.
How-
But I kind of hate experiences because then it's like, okay, let's buy this game, let's play this 20-minute like on rails VR experience. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna complain if it's like a 20-minute polished, like real cool. But I really want to be playing with other players if it's a multiplayer as well. You know, be a part of it and not be like, oh, I'm not a pancake gamer, so I can't join because I own VR. You know.
How awesome
Yeah.
would it be if you actually could be the alien?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Alien
like you say,
versus
like
Predator,
an evolve
for instance.
style
Yeah.
situation. That would be really neat.
I just feel like it. I feel
Yeah.
like there is something multiplayer going to happen here.
So yeah, let us know in the comments, like if you could design your, Alien VR game, like what kind of features would you have in it? I'd love to know in the comments, and we can maybe discuss some of our sort of thoughts on what we'd like. But some of the things that I really liked about Isolation, especially having experienced it in VR, was that the atmosphere and the detail in the environments was like spot on. The sound design was spot on. The alien was terrifying, and it kind of was enough of that kind of tension build up, and then you see the alien, it's terrifying, and then the tension builds up again. But the one thing I really disliked about that game was the androids. They were just so
Annoying.
unnecessary. I felt like they weren't really
They
that
filled
scary.
the game with that. Yeah, they
did.
filled it with the yeah.
They did. So maybe if they can work on that. But I think what they also did, which was really smart, was the use of the microphone. So when you was in the presence of the alien, you had to physically be quiet, because if you made too much noise through your microphone, the alien would pick up on that noise and then find you. So if they can,
Just
they can
like the sounds in general in this game are so freaking creepy, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know how I finished this game? I played like nightcore music on the loudest thing ever, and I was like, okay, happy game, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I was just running around and doing my thing. But my God, this game, because this AI, this Xenomorph, like that's what they did so well, is like it's so smart and it really learns from the sounds and from what's going on, that you're constantly terrified of what's going on, and it can like drag you to whatever place. It's not like, oh, I can hide in this corner, it can't get me. And the moment it spots you, and you can hear it on the metal, you hear those claws going real fast, you just know you're so screwed. Let's just hope it's not gonna be like Alien, the Colonial Marines.
Oh my God, that
People in
game.
the chat are saying, people in the
That's
chat are
something I
saying,
had to mention.
people in the chat are saying, I would love to see a Left 4 Dead Alien Isolation game.
Yeah, like you play as the Colonial Marines, like a Left 4 Dead style thing. That would be
Yeah.
so epic. That would be so epic.
Co-op adventure.
But yeah, being able to like maybe drive a loader, or be part of the Colonial Marines in VR. Being in a drop ship and experiencing, the drop into like the planet and stuff like that. That'd just be so badass. They could make such an epic VR game. And it's interesting because the devs from Cold Iron Studios did actually go and experience the VR location-based experience with Aliens. The Descent one. So they have experience in that. Maybe it was just research for the game. Maybe it was to tip their hat towards VR. Who knows?
I saw someone in the chat also saying Alien Recruit. I don't know if that was a reference to another like
Halo Recruit.
Yeah.
So one thing I was just gonna say here is, and spoiler alert, just give me 30 seconds. From Other Suns late in the game, you encounter an alien, and if the same kind of experience that Mike and I have had in that is terrifying, if they pick up those elements, they really actually could do an Alien Isolation multiplayer game that was solid. I wonder if the studio has enough netcode experience to make that worthwhile and actually function. Because what I don't want is a game that doesn't have a single player spine, that doesn't get enough multiplayer traction, that kind of falls the same fate, I'd say, as From Other Suns. Because great game, great multiplayer surprise and fear and all that kind of stuff baked in there, but not enough maybe single player backbone to help sail it forward. And I'd like to see them address that if they're going down this route.
Talking about spine and backbone, was that the game that you were screaming like a little girl?
There's been many.
Honestly, the screeches were just amazing. It was so funny.
I
didn't even know what was going on. I thought someone was being murdered in real life.
I literally, it's the only game that I think I've ever recorded myself without face cam, and I was kicking myself afterwards. But I was shaking. Like every part of me was shaking. My legs were shaking. When you can't properly stand up? I had no idea this thing was in the game. it drops out of the vents or whatever, and like it's just like Alien, and they just nail it. And then you go to the kind of place where all the pods and stuff are. Holy shit! Like
It's great.
I threw a controller, and I never do that. I was that scared.
The way this creature moves in this game is just, it's so real that you're like, okay, maybe I should just stop playing now. The smoke effects, everything. It's like I regret playing this game instantly. But the first Alien Isolation game, is based on the first movie, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder, is the second one going to be based on the second movie? If that's true, then we will see. I think the second movie is in the prison, right? There's like a prison, and they go there, or
that's the third movie.
Oh, that's the third.
You're thinking
but
further.
also, Alien Isolation wasn't based on the first movie. It was just based on the first movie concept of a single alien, because
Correct.
you actually played Sigourney Weaver's daughter, so you play Ripley's daughter.
Yeah. It's like an
Isolation.
Correct.
story.
Yeah.
But Aliens is the one that, like, I know that I'm curious actually around here. What film of the Alien series is your favorite? And I'm just gonna say, Alien, the first one for me, is my favorite. But I know a lot of people like Aliens.
Aliens, the definitive edition, like the special edition, is my favorite by far.
Is that a director's cut then?
Yeah, so in the director's cut, you had like another 10 minutes of footage, and it included a scene where they set up some like turrets in a hallway that were just like automatic turrets.
Yeah,
it was really badass.
I've seen that.
But yeah, like I think if these developers were doing their research, and I'm sure they did, the feedback on Reddit, whenever you post about Alien Isolation in VR, it blows up. Like everyone loves this game in VR that has tried it. So it would just really make sense. I'm keeping my fingers and toes crossed for this. Please, Cold Iron Studios, don't let us down.
Just don't keep it as a demo like Sega did when they were showing it off the first time. It was just like an extra kind of cool thing to get people into their booth, but please make it an actual feature.
Yeah, because otherwise next time we're in San Jose, we're going to visit you. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's just all guesses at this time. We don't have any facts about this, but we'll know by next week's show, because
it's going to be creepy. That's one fact.
For sure. Even if it's not in VR, it's probably going to be creepy. It's probably going to be cool.
Scary anyway. Yeah.
But we'll know for sure on the 6th of December. So if you've got any questions you want to ask us in the chat, now is a great time to do it whilst I recap the show times. So just a reminder, it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US. Check out the audio version on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Anchor. And if you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a review on iTunes, because that really helps out.
So we have a daring comment also about Alien, of course. I like Prometheus more than the original Alien.
I can see that though, because the new ones have a kind of a pizzazz in their own style, and also who's that actor? The real smooth skin kind of. I think he's a German fellow.
Yeah. Michael Fassbender.
Fassbender. Yes. He fits. It's a different style. I agree. Yeah.
He plays the android very well.
The original Alien movies are really about the atmosphere and the scariness, and much less about where did they come from and who are they. Then well, Prometheus is much more on the where
too much.
What is the history and
it's an origin story, right?
Yeah.
But wait, what about you two guys? We didn't hear from you. What's your favorite Alien series film?
I like the Predator movies in the original Predator movie. I was a big fan of that. When they did the mishmash of the first ones, I was first really excited, but then I was a little bit less.
You mean Arnold versus the
Get to the chopper.
Yeah. I really like the first one, but that's because there was a person actually playing the xenomorph. Well, in the later movies, they became like animated things, and usually it makes it way more scary when it's like an actual person. This guy was like super tall too, so I don't know. Like the first one is.
I like the first Alien versus Predator game.
Alien versus Predator, the game demo on a PC Gamer disc, was the first game where I literally, this was not a good idea, sat in my dark house. Parents were out for the day, brother was away, whatever. Playing the demo, smoke goes. You're on one of those clanky overhanging railings. It breaks, falls down, you slide down, and I fell out of my chair in the dark. Scared myself shitless. I'm not joking. I've never been more terrified, but AVP 2 in particular was a fantastic multiplayer game, and if they can combine that kind of a thing as well as a VR game, I'd love that too. Love.
So I'd be interested to know what Alien game franchises you've enjoyed as well. Like Yuzim just obviously mentioned his. What about you guys? Have you got any favorite Alien games that you've played?
I never had any.
No. So other than Isolation, because I do think Isolation was a great game.
That was good.
I loved Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo. I don't know if you guys ever played that. It was a side scroller.
Yeah.
But it was badass. You actually played as Ripley in the prison as well, which was really cool. Yeah.
Did you get into like the forklift lander thing, whatever that is, the big mech? Does she get that in Alien 3?
No, you don't. I don't think so.
I'm thinking of something else then.
I can't remember if I ever completed it, but you do fight the queens and stuff like that in it, which is really badass.
So I do have a challenge here for Zim or anyone who loves aliens.
Go for it.
Someone is suggesting Alien Isolation on the PC with virtual desktop on the go.
Virtual desktop on the go. Oh, interesting.
Oh, you could do that. You could do that for sure. Yeah, because you're just
Xbox.
using a gamepad.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would make a good video.
That would.
And then also pick up your sub pack as well. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, you always go with tactile, and
it's like tickling you in the back, like, "Hey Zim, hey, I'm here." So yeah, there's I think that's about it. But I see a lot of dedication in the chat regarding Alien stuff. So yeah, keep an eye on the Game Awards. I would say it's a fun show. I really enjoy watching it. I mean, usually it's E3 and that's where it ends, but this is like something extra. And I mean, last year, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the developer from A Way Out, like he was talking about, was it like transactions or something?
Oh,
there's like a whole like thing going on there where he was like, I'm not doing that, screw that. So we'll see. Maybe they make some jokes about Fallout 76 as well. Maybe some inside jokes we haven't heard yet. We'll see. But right now, game industry is on fire.
Yeah, I got one more comment on Facebook as well from Mohamed Udarbi. He liked Alien 2 for the weapons they used and the sound of the weapons, also the Raider sound. You guys remember that?
No.
The Raider sound?
No.
Oh, the radar. Yeah.
Oh,
like
bleep.
Yeah. The location track thing. Yeah.
Don't even.
Also worth noting, little Easter egg. If you watch Ready Player One, the scene where Parzival and Artemis are in the nightclub, the Distracted Globe, and they get invaded by the Sixers, Artemis actually pulls out a pulse rifle, which is from Aliens, and she shoots them. Yeah, very cool. The sound effect is like distinctive. You can't miss it. So I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this episode of the show. We'll be back, of course, next Saturday. So have a great week in VR until then, and hopefully we'll have the lowdown for sure on this Alien game. Fingers crossed it's in VR. Let's all prayer. Yes. Have a great week, and we'll see you then. So bye-bye for now. See you then.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Get out of here.
Bye-bye.